वो बोलते हैं ना जहाँ पे देश वैसा भेष. So that was a challenge for me to break into my first job. I gave around like 2,000 to 3,000 interviews in that period of time.
And then you spoke about the placement challenges that people also face there. So I want to touch upon a little bit on that. Like, so you kind of narrated your story, but as you are yourself into a HR, right? You yourself go and hire freshers. Do you think will you prefer a tier 2, tier 3 student as opposed to a tier 1? And why so? If you have given the question.
Are we capable of nurturing? That's one question. The next is, are we at the right place to give them guidelines? Because we ourselves are stuck at a place where we are looking at like a traditional workforce environment. Concept is as KSA, knowledge, skill, attitude. One skill which every HR has to now look into, because we play multiple hats. The storytelling is also a key role now. When they looked at my portfolio, they said, boss, you are shifted into HR space, but you don't have a management degree. Dhoni ka bana jab usko opportunity mila. So can we be as HRs responsible and look at what opportunity we can give it?
And I would agree to that, because in my 25 years, great culture, good culture, poor culture, and working in a work culture is really going to help. What is your opinion on challenges that you see that HR in the organization is facing?
The issue is we don't want to talk data because we are very we don't want to take that data and have inferences. We need to understand what is this industry going through, what is the business perspective, and what is the skill. And the skill is changing every 1 month or every weekly basis. So how do we keep upskilling? So the challenge for HR now is understanding the business. Where is the business transformation happening? How do we upskill the people who are in this system? And how do we look at different workforce coming into the system, because they are very aspirational. So they want to challenge the ecosystem. So are we giving them that space to challenge? He taught us the concept of how do we look at the businesses in two perspectives. So
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Culture Beat by Incredible Workplaces. Today, we have Indwin with us, who's a senior manager HR in an organization called Anubavam, and it is an edtech organization. So, Indwin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Govind, for the warm welcome, and happy to be part of Incredible Workplaces Culture Beat.
Awesome. So, Inwin, this is going to be a very interesting conversation, and the reason so is because I'm shooting first time a podcast with a future leader, somebody who has already reached to a mid-level position and aspiring to be future leader, or somebody who's going to take a senior positions in the organization. Now, before we go there, right, let's start with your journey from the scratch. So I would like to ask, what about your education? Where did you did your education from, and what kind of things you learned during before your first job? So how was that journey?
Okay, then I would like to take you from my journey.
Yeah.
So, born in Nagarkoil, but due to my dad's working style, and he was with the government agency, so I did my schooling in Delhi and Mumbai.
Okay.
So from my KG till a few parts of my 6th standard in Delhi, and from 6th to my 12th, the higher school education in Mumbai.
Okay.
And my engineering, I did it from Tirunelveli. And then it's a cultural mix over. And thanks to my dad's bringing across, so it was more of like learning across. You are a South Indian, then you are halted at a North Indian place, you are at the West and everything. But none of the places have treated you differently. But they always embrace each one of us with the warmth of the city. So I didn't feel like left out, but I did felt like when I left Delhi or when I left Mumbai, when I shifted to Chennai, I always felt like something went or something is lacking across. But every city treats you well, and every city is end of the day part of India, and we always say Atithi Devo Bhava. So it's been a great across.
So you have done your education more into the management side, or were you an engineer?
Okay, I actually wanted to pursue my MBBS
Okay.
because I felt like inclined to the social sector. If you are a doctor, you can save lives. So how do we go approach that was my thought process, and I had scored few marks which were less when I can get into a medical seat without the management side of it,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
government seat.
yeah.
So when it didn't happen, I was thinking like let's do some graduation or something, a science graduate or something. But then my dad was very insistent, like, okay, it didn't happen, that's okay. Uh, can you look at an engineering space where
Uh-huh.
instead of you being a doctor, let's build places or let's build across with your engineering thing. So then that's how engineering happened to me. And from engineering, my jobs across had shifted me across to different areas. And then the HR thing happened.
Okay, nice. So basically, you are an engineer who started into the management field itself. So that's a really good transition that I could see, and I think the MBBS is also one of the great profession. But I always believe that irrespective of your education, do whatever you want to do, but do to the best way you can. Now, you also mentioned in your journey that from Tamil Nadu, because of your father's job, Tamil Nadu to the west side of Maharashtra, to then the north side, which is Delhi, that you went to different places. And no doubt that India is a very diverse country in terms of the culture. How, and you said that people were receptive, people were welcoming. Tell me something more about it, like, because I am from Delhi, right? And in Delhi, Delhi people have a different kind of culture altogether, and you're brought up in South. Did you see any difference? Did you see any apprehension for people in the in the north for the south? Any such incidents you had?
I didn't have anything to be very specific.
Okay.
I'm more of I'll say like a North Indian guy stuck in a South Indian atmosphere, because if I go anywhere, I'll usually look for the chole bhatores or something, and if I'm in Maharashtra, I look for a vada pav. So that's my like a normal take. If you give me idli and dosa, it will be like little bit of heartbreaking for me. Then having I'll prefer having a puri or something in the morning itself.
Awesome. So I take it like Indian soul in a South Indian body.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So we have seen your journey, and I think for many of our audience that are still trying to figure out the route in the corporate world, specifically in the field of HR, and I would say any field for that matter, right? Whether you are HR, marketing, finance, engineer, these are the challenges that you need to go through gradually, one by one. Tell me how difficult it was for you to get your first job, and how what you went through to our audience.
See, as my dad asked me to pursue engineering, then I did my engineering from Tirunelveli.
Okay.
It's a tier 2 or not tier 2 also, I'll say tier 3 or tier 4 kind of an environment. So when a guy who has been brought up in a social structuring or a networking structuring, then you're coming back to the roots. It was a hard hitting for me to understand the cultural differences, the nuances. In Bombay, you can be there available like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and the city
Yes,
never
yes,
sleeps.
yes, yes.
And you're down south in Tirunelveli, it's like by 8 o'clock, there's no light, nothing. You're off to, you have to go off to sleep. So that was a cultural shock. And then I did, the phase was 2006 to 2010, my engineering. A lot of great things I could learn. I'll respect the institution which had brought in that kind of a culture. First thing is, we always take our parents for granted. So understanding our parents' value was very critical at those phases, because you are away from your parents. I have not been away with them for like you go to school and you come back home and you have everything ready. There you have to prepare yourself. So the changeover shifting from being getting everything to doing it yourself. So that was one great thing to learn in the college. Then understanding your mother's love, the way she cooks and everything, because you get what you like at home. And in hostel, it's a stereotype: day one menu, day two menu, day three menu. It goes across. I used to have Milo or Boost at home. I had to switch to a tea or coffee.
Nice.
So first 3 months to 6 months, I didn't consume anything. Then it was like in Malayalam you say patni padipikum, means आपको भूख लगता है तो आपको सब कुछ याद आ जाता है.
Okay.
So then the thirst and the learning and everything, I shifted ways. Now my day starts with a tea or a coffee, and it goes to 6 or 7 or 8 shots across for a day. So what I'll say to the generation is, whatever you learn it to the core. Because in civil engineering they say the building has to go to a greater height, the foundation has to be strong.
Stronger, yeah.
So if you put your foundation strong, nobody can shake you, because basics will only help you to transform, because on basics only the rest of the things will pitch in across. So when I did my engineering, it was electronics and communication. So basic core and everything is great. So my first job, 2010, I got passed out. I got my first break in 2011. So a 1 year gap to get into a job, that was a big shift for me.
Yeah.
I had my friends who had got placements through the campus, because they did from Mumbai. We didn't have a placement at our college. So if you have a great college, or you want to go to a great college, look at what is their placement records and everything. That's one suggestion for the students who want to shift from schooling to higher education segment. And the another cultural shift was I can interact in 5 languages, because Delhi, Mumbai, that's the north. You have Hindi, Marathi. Then being born in Tamil Nadu, so Tamil is naturally, it's my mother tongue. Then my place is Nagarkoil, that's nearer to Kerala. Earlier, Nagarkoil was part of Kerala.
Okay.
They had swiped across. So I can also interact in Malayalam. So English, Hindi, Marathi, Tamil and Malayalam. So I always find it very easy to communicate to the other person, because we feel the warmth. अगर मैं आपसे हिंदी में बात करूँगा तो आपको अच्छा लगता है.
बिल्कुल.
And if I talk to somebody in Tamil, he feels the warmth.
Yeah.
So it's very
A
easy
connection.
to
Yeah.
build those connections. And when I completed my engineering, when I came back to Mumbai, the challenge I faced was not with my academics. It was with to the portfolio, or I'll say the narrow-mindedness of the organizations look at is, they wanted somebody who did their engineering or their graduation from Mumbai. वो बोलते हैं ना, जहाँ पे देश वैसा भेष. So that was a challenge for me to break into my first job. I gave around like 2,000 to 3,000 interviews in that period of time. And the next, whenever somebody calls for an interview or something, it becomes very natural, because I'll clear the first round.
Yeah,
The aptitude and everything is cleared. Only thing, the HR discussion, this gets as a halt. So I would like to also thank my first employer, Dr. AVM. So my first job was with Thyrocare as a maintenance engineer.
Okay.
And I have a huge respect for the organization, because he had made his point saying he will give only to freshers the first job. So whoever is a fresher can get an opportunity in Thyrocare. So hats off to Dr. AVM on that way of thought process. And I reported to Mr. Chandrasekhar. He and Dr. AVM would be my first, I had to report to them. So my exposure to the management sector was from my first job itself. And we had multiple departments under Mr. MCS. So we used, as an engineer, we used to be shifted to different departments every month. So an engineering graduate with no management skills, but put into an environment where you have to rebuild yourself, unlearn yourself, relearn, and keep learning and engaging. So that's the way of expertise my first job could put in across. And you had, it's a diagnostic, it's into preventive healthcare. So every minute counts, because every report has to be projected across. So that was the niche area. And then I felt like my first job, because I wanted to become a doctor. Okay, Lord, Jesus had some other plans, like, okay, they put me across to an organization which was into preventive healthcare.
Well, I have a similar story, but for some other time. But I want to touch upon a little bit on what you said, and such a powerful thing. What you mentioned is that when you are from a tier two, tier three city, especially doing your education out there, and we have seen a majority of the HR leaders who are responsible for hiring freshers are targeting tier one cities. And there is a mindset that you mentioned that people want students who have studied from the same city where their offices are. And but I do see a shift in when, and you are in the HR space yourself. When I talk to a lot of HR leaders, one of the shift that I'm seeing nowadays, unfortunately not there when you were doing your studies, is that they are now trusting a lot on the tier 2 tier 3 city because they see a lot of potential out there, although they believe that these student might need longer time to kind of gel up with the corporate and to learn things that need to be done as compared to a tier 1 person. But once that phase is over, they are the one who are very smart, they do very hard work, they're loyal, they stay with the company for a longer period of time, and they come with a mindset that they really need to work on. So what I wanted to share, Invin, is that you know that I am into the social workspace, right? And I also believe that when you are in this world, of course, you do a lot of things for your livelihood, for your passion, for purpose, other things that you do. At the same time, you also need to give back to the society. And I don't know whether I've shared this with you ever or not. That one of the vertical of the NGO that I run called Amrita Devi Foundation, one of the third vertical in the recent vertical is basically called Amrita Devi Skill India. And that vertical Indwin only works for tier 2, tier 3 city students, those who does not get the opportunity to interact with the outside world, right? They have a lot of capabilities, their skills are very good, but I think they need somebody to nurture those skills and put them in the right place. So that is, I totally get that. I am a big fan of tier 2 tier 3 student. If you ask me, I will have them more than a tier 1 student. And then you spoke about the placement challenges that people also face there. So I want to touch upon a little bit on that. Like, so you kind of narrated your story, but as you are yourself into a HR, right? You yourself go and hire freshers. Do you think will you prefer a tier two, tier three student as opposed to a tier one, and why so? If you have given an opportunity.
I'll touch base on my life instances as well here. I have jumped multiple organizations. So when a traditional HR looks at my resume or my profile, he'll be like, "Boss, you don't have a stability. You're not loyal to one organization." So I think I was ahead of the rat race, and I looked at what value proposition you can bring into the table. See, you can stay loyal to your organization, this and that, everything is perfectly fine. But you need to understand, are we also upskilling ourselves at each role? Because over a period of time, it becomes mundane or it becomes very transactional over. And the shift from transactional to transformative doesn't happen over a period of time, because you become as a leader, then you more of your work becomes as a mentoring. That's a great way to nurture the next generation. But are we capable of nurturing? That's one question. The next is, are we at the right place to give them guidelines? Because we ourselves are stuck at a place where we are looking at like a traditional workforce environment. If I look at any campus or something, I tell the students is, get your basics clear, because your basics will take you to places. Concept is as KSA: knowledge, skill, attitude.
Very
Knowledge you
nice.
will get imparted in your colleges and
I love
everything.
this. Yeah.
And then from knowledge, you need to ensure where you get the practicality. So that comes with your internships. So your skills get developed, the practicality comes into place. And instead of going to an organization and then bitching about them or something, go for an internship with them,
Very nice.
understand their culture. What is your aspiration? Is it mapping into that organization portfolio? Do you like it, not like it? Because once you are as an employee with them, it becomes a challenge for them also and for you also to stay connected. Let's not look at a culture where you are disconnected with them. So that's a challenge with the workforces we have now. So KS I had touched. The next is your attitude. Attitude is like something which will bounce back everyone. So they need to have a good attitude. I'll not say a good attitude, I'll say an attitude where they are humble, they're responsible, and they need to be rebuilding themselves. They need to be like the phoenix where they keep rebuilding themselves, because I'll cite my personal example is my dad was with the government agency for 32 years of continuous service with them. With one skill or two skill he could sustain. I had jumped multiple organizations because I wanted to have an exposure to understand how that business work, or how that channelization of people across in different industries could work in. Now we have a generation which is more aspirational, more vocal.
Correct.
So I'm not saying they're wrong. They're very great at doing things. Only thing is, are we as leaders empowering them or giving the next set of instructions? If you give them what needs to be done, they will know how to do it. And I am a person who is very lazy or very lethargic, where if you give me something, I look at what best at the slowest way or at the least way of doing it. I'll ensure it is done at the earliest way across.
Well, there is a story which says that if you want to simplify any process, give it to the laziest person in the room. He will find the simplest way, shortest way to do it, but yet effective. Great, thank you very much. And I think I echo with what you just said. And you also spoke about your first job, but let me jump on about, so like first job is important. Similarly, the first promotion is also very important. Tell us about your first promotion, how early you got it, how long you have to wait for your first promotion in the first job or maybe second job, I don't know.
Okay. See, with Thyrocare, I was with them for around approximately 2 years of tenure with them. My first increment with them, I think it happened within 2 to 3 months of me with them. Because it was into preventive healthcare and everything, they had put some test program where it was all science. And I am from a science background, and then I am from a CBSE schooling, so it was very easy for me to understand. Okay, ये यहाँ पे correct है. So the first promotion happened very fast,
Very nice.
and they had also looked at me as not only as an engineer but also as a people person. So they had shifted me
nice.
across to the training segment. So we used to have like 1 month of training programs for every inducted people. So I used to be part of that to give them training. So the people skills which I have now, I owe to them. The fear of talking, that all got stopped across, because from day one you used to interact with all the leaders. So if you're fearful, nobody is going to tell anything, because they leave you across. So who better than ourselves can tell our story? So that's also one skill which every HR has to now look into, because we play multiple hats. The storytelling is also a key role now to ensure the next generation of workforce is also brought into the table.
Yeah, and a great one. And I think I'm so glad that, well, I think as you correctly said, the God has different plans for you. If not the MBBS, you started working with an organization that is into the healthcare sector. And I was saying that I have a similar story, different but the same kind of story, is that I always wanted to be an engineer. And I did my graduation in computer, but never got the chance to work as a computer engineer. I always started as an HR. But the last company I worked for 8 years was an IT company. And Indwin, you're right, it actually helped a lot being an HR, coming with an IT education or aspiration in the past. It really helped me to understand the engineers, because that's what the HR need to do. So I could sense and kind of echo what you're just saying right now. Let me ask you a question, Indwin, and many people who are at the level you are right now might be asking the same question from themselves. The question is, do you want, or do you give weightage more to money or to a culture when you change the job?
See, okay, I'll put it this way. I did my engineering and I was with few organizations with my engineering degree. When I looked at the traditional HR, I'm not venting about HR over here, but I'm now also a responsible HR.
Nice.
So when they looked at my portfolio, they said, boss, you are shifted into HR space, but you don't have a management degree. I always felt we as Indians, being brought up in a family of many people, we are taught to manage things across. So that
So
schooling happens
management is part of our family.
part of our family, part of how we are being brought up.
Correct.
And that doesn't need a degree to look at a higher stake. But when the traditional business look at roles and responsibilities and the level ups in the hierarchy in the system, you require an MBA degree. So I did my MBA after my marriage. After I had my first son. I have one son who is now around 8 years old. So when he was born, I took a challenge of going from a full-time job to no job.
Oh, wow. And you did your MBA
I
full
did
time?
my MBA. I didn't. It was not a full time. It was a part time MBA from Wellinger College, Mumbai. So it's a 3-year part time course where evening you have to have classes. So for the cash flow, what I did is what all subjects I have, I'll go and consult for those subjects for a different organization.
Wow,
So
nice.
what you learn is what you're getting across. And I'm more of a person where I believe, see, money will come and go. But what change you can impact as a HR in somebody's life, I felt that because I know what all things I can do, but I was not given an opportunity. धोनी कब बना जब उसको opportunity मिला. So can we be as HRs responsible and look at what opportunity we can give in? So I always believe, see, money you can earn whenever you want, or you can do a lot of things. But when you are as a HR, you need to be responsible for impacting lives, because HR is not only hire and fire, but impacting lives and doing business.
The way you're looking at it is really, really incredible. But I will still ask my straight question to you. If you have to change a job, would you go for money or work culture?
I'll go for a work culture.
And why so?
Brought up in an Indian ecosystem, we are morally clinged into doing the right things.
Yeah.
So we need to be citizens who are responsible. So we need to go to an environment which is also responsible. That's social responsibility, and from that social responsibility comes as corporate social responsibility. So we need to give back, because business also happens on a lot of things which we get it for free.
Yeah.
So can we work out something which is a big win for everyone? That's what I look at.
Yeah, and I would agree to that, Inwin, because in my 25 years of experience, I have seen organizations that had great culture, that had good culture, that has poor culture, and I can tell you that working in a work culture that is not apt or that is not incredible is really going to stress you a lot. The amount of increment that you will get doesn't matter, because if you are not happy in what you are doing, then at end of the day you will not be productive, and that stress comes on your health, on your family relationship, on everything that you are wanted to do. So I think I would say that people should take your advice, and while they're changing the job, of course they will ask for salary increment. But if there is a choice that they need to make, let's say a 50% salary increase to a bad culture organization, to let's say a 25-30% increase in an incredible workplace culture, they should choose an incredible workplace, because then they can showcase more on what they can exhibit and then grow faster in that way. Okay, great. Now you yourself is right now at the place which is basically a perfect place for an HR guy. You are not a fresher, you are not even a entry level management, you are not even a top management, but you are right now at the mid level of the management, right? Which I think is the perfect placement for somebody, because you are ready to kind of launch and take the top positions in the organization in HR in future. You are our future leader at this point in time. What is your opinion on the challenges that you see that HR in the organization is facing, or maybe the business need to see HR differently in that way, and how does this culture piece plays important role? And I think you said very rightly that the way HR comes right now has to do something that is really impactful, not the mundane job that needs to be done. So what's your opinion on the challenges in HR right now?
Being a non-traditional HR from engineering background, I always bring in principles of engineering into thing, because I always question why that way. Because anyone can become as a HR, because you have a BSc or you have a BCA or anything you do an MBA, HR, you become a HR. But what value that brings in from your education is also very critical. So as a engineer and then a HR, I look at my skill of like problem solving or breaking the bigger picture into a smaller picture. And somebody who is coming from a BCom and then into HR, he will look at the financial part much better than me.
Right.
And then who is coming from a literature perspective or anything, he will look at better placement of an HR because he is looking at corporate communication. How do you put in? So that breaks down the HR into different collaborations thing. We need to also look at our HR journey. With the industrial revolutions, HR has shifted from only PTO, the time management thing, the personal management. When I joined, we had a personal department in Thyrocare. So personal department across to a HR, human resource. Then from human resource, we are now shifted to human capital management. From there, now the shift has happened to an experience based. So it is HX, human experience or people experience. So that transactional things has now evolved into a transformative space for HR itself. So that is also happening for every organization. So for a person like me, we need to take the leap of faith to understand what is happening in the business perspective. Earlier, we were not given a table on the CXO level. Now every HR can take that space
Very well
into the table when you understand data. And the issue is we don't want to talk data because we are very we don't want to take that data and have inferences. But for everyone, the data comes from only from the HR because we have the legacy system in from the organization about every part and parcel.
Correct.
So if you are for a HR to transform, he need to understand what is his industry going through, what is the business perspective, and what is the skill thing. Like I took my example, my dad, me, and the thing. The skill latency has also shifted across the tenure. Like if somebody knew some skill, he could survive for 5 years. Now that survival has also got a
Very true.
shrink.
Yeah.
So every business used to change every 10 years. Now it is shifting very rapidly, like 6 months and something. And the skill is changing every 1 month or every weekly basis.
Correct.
So how do we keep upskilling? So the challenge for HR now is understanding the business. Where is the business transformation happening? How do we upskill the people who are in the system?
Correct.
And how do we look at different workforce coming into the system? Because everyone's aspirations have changed. Basic, like I said, we stick to the foundation. The foundation is Maslow's theory of needs. My dad had to keep off roti kapda makan, so I could take a lot of things, the jumps and everything.
Correct.
Now we had kept for our next generation the roti kapda, the basic needs, the hygiene needs, everything is taken care. So they are very aspirational. So they want to challenge the ecosystem. So are we giving them that space to challenge? See, as an educator, because I've worked in as a faculty, so I look at, are we empowering them to ask the right questions? Because if we empower them, every system is questionable, and India is democratic.
Yeah.
So look at how do we question, but at the right time with the right data. So HR with data is powerful. HR understanding business is a powerful HR. HR understanding the future. Our CEO, Mr. Shivakumar, for Anubavam, he taught us the concept of how do we look at the businesses in two perspectives, which I liked very much. He shifted the business like, now the impact is on the business and it's transforming. So two concept is CTB and RTB. CTB is change the business. RTB is run the business. Run the business is the concept wherein you need to have a cash flow to have sustenance.
Correct.
So what you are doing now has to happen.
Correct.
Side by side, the upskilling, reskilling, the transformation, everything is happening. So we as an organization also needs to adopt. So that is change the business. So how do you look at those transactional things? So run the business is more of transactional things which is needed. Change the business is about transformative. How do we transform? So both the concepts has to go hand in hand. Now it might be like 75% run the business and 25%, but over a period of time, the run the business has to reduce. the change the business has to shift in at a more gear up space. Then only we are looking at the business sustenance as well.
Yeah, and I think you correctly said that the faster the business are changing, the ecosystem is changing. A lot of geopolitical interventions in business nowadays. HR also need to adopt that, and these are the challenges. But I see, and I think what you're saying is that we should see these challenges as an opportunity, because that's what we are here for. That's why we are the leaders, right? Who are driving, we're helping the business to drive the human capital part of it. Very well said. One last thing I will ask you is, I'm sure everybody, and you're a very progressive person, right? From where you are today to where you want to go, what do you think the things that you need to work on yourself to reach to that particular place?
I'm always curious. So I will look at understanding what is happening, because I said at my career space itself, I've jumped multiple roles. So I was looking at gig economy at that point of time when it was not there.
Correct.
So if somebody wants to impact and go to the next level of transformation, keep your eyes and ears open. God has given everyone the same stuff to go across. It's about the time management and the sensory things. Dr. AVM used to say, be fragile. So that's what I will say to everyone is, understand what you are good at. So SWOT analysis will give you what you're good at. Understand what you're not good at. So start impacting that. So you transform yourself to the next level. If you're not changing now, nobody can help you, because Kodak also lost.
Yeah, correct.
So it's about how do you change yourself, how do you embrace change, and start giving back to the society.
Very well said.
Because once you give, the one who is content can only give in.
Correct.
And once you start giving, कोई भी देने से छोटा नहीं होता है.
Correct.
You become more powerful
Correct.
by giving.
Correct. And I think loved that. And the last portion that you said that about giving back, I believe very strongly on that. And I also love the way you narrated it, that everybody has the same ears, same eyes, same nose, same mouth, same brain. You should use it more. You should leverage those thing more and try to be curious, is what you're saying. Thank you, Indwin. It was such a pleasure talking to you. And from a tier 3 city education to what you are doing today, and still trying to make an impact by sharing your experience with the world, is really incredible. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the entire team of Incredible Workplaces for the wonderful job you're doing. And by the way, Anubavam is a mid-sized Incredible Workplaces. So thanks to your
Awesome.
partnership. It's not a partnership, it's an ecosystem what Mr. Negi has brought in. So who want to go for more informations and everything, always go for Incredible Workplaces. Thank you.
Thank you very much and have a nice day.